So here is my update on my Spravato treatment. It was intense. It was intense. I guess I'll just start from the beginning. Like I said in my last video, I got there like 20 minutes early. They told me to be 15 minutes early, but I was anxious and I just wanted to be as comfortable as possible before I actually started my treatment. So I got there super early. For nothing, because they didn't actually call me into my private room until about 5 after 3. I had to fill out some paperwork. I had to fill out I forgot what it's called, the PHQ, PH9, whatever the anxiety depression quiz is. I'll have to get back to you on that. It just rates, like, it determines like how bad your depression is. So they can kind of keep track of it and keep track of your progression. But anyways, so I filled out that paperwork and just releases so they could treat me. I had my fuzzy blanket, I had my sleep mask, I had over-the-ear headphones, and my tablet. So before they gave me the treatment, I got all ready with all that stuff. And it was funny because the nurse comes into the room and she's like, wow, like, you're all ready to go. I'm like, yeah, I did my homework. So anyways, so they came in with a tester of the Spravato spray. It's a nasal spray. And so they just pretty much taught me how to use it. So it was an empty nasal spray thingy. So you put it in your nose, you have to have your head at a 45-degree angle. And they said that when you're not really supposed to inhale it, you're just supposed to do like a little, when you spray it, it's not like a regular nasal spray that you would use for like congestion or anything like that, where you're supposed to, it's not like that. You're only supposed to take like a little tiny in, because they actually want the Spravato to stay in kind of your nostrils. They said that you absorb it the best that way. So so they showed me how to do it, and then with the fake nasal spray, and then they came back and they actually had the treatment. I was all ready to go with my gear and everything, and so the first dose, I took it, and I'm like, all right. They're like, all right, we're gonna come back in like 5 minutes and give you your second dose. I'm like, okay. So they leave and I'm just like, all right. Kind of like, I don't know what to expect, but at the same time, I was just trying to stay calm, and I started doing like breathing exercises, and I was trying not to like focus on what was going to happen to me or how I was feeling. I just pretty much tried to go to sleep, because that's what I heard you should try to do anyways, is just go to sleep. And I didn't fall asleep, by the way. I have a really hard time falling asleep in general, but that's what I attempted to do, just close my eyes, relax, and try to stay calm. And so they came in about 5 minutes later, and I just started feeling like I was high. Like, I don't smoke weed anymore, but I have in the past, a lot in the past. And I would say that it kind of felt like smoking a blunt. Like you felt like you were high. And I asked her, I was like, is it normal to like already feel something? And they said, yeah. I'm like, okay. And then they gave me the second vial thingy, nasal spray. I don't know what the hell that's called. So I did the second dose, and it was funny because the nurse, she was like staring intently at me. And she's like, I'm sorry I'm staring at you so hard, but I have to really watch you do it because I've had patients before like squirted in their mouths because they were so out of it, they thought their mouth was their nose or something. I don't know. But we had a laugh, and I took my second dose and she left. So initially I didn't turn on my iPad or anything like that to listen to music or watch any videos. I just wanted to just I put my eye mask down and I just kind of was doing my breathing techniques again. I did that for a little bit, and the Spravato tastes like shit. Like, it really wasn't that bad the first dose, but the second dose was really, really bad. It actually like burned my nostrils. And then like it drains into the back of your throat and then you can taste it. So they did have a little dish of like candy, like little hard candies and suckers. They did take my blood pressure before they gave me the Spravato. And it was, I think, 117 over 77. I normally have like really good blood pressure. And anyways, so I was just kind of zoning out and trying to eat this lollipop. At first it was cool, I was just eating it, and then I remember like I couldn't eat the lollipop anymore. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, it was hard to eat the lollipop. Like, I felt like my head was like swaying side to side like this, and like I was trying to eat this sucker, but it was just kind of like hanging out my mouth. It wasn't like I've seen in other videos, for me anyways. Like, other videos that I've watched, they say that they have like this liftoff kind of feeling, like they just shoot to the moon, and that's not how it felt for me. Like, it was a very gradual thing to where I didn't even notice I was, going up there. And I was really nervous about that transition from being completely sober to, using Spravato. Like, if you've ever been to a hospital and you got IV medication, like any pain medication, like Toradol or anything like that, when they give you the shot, it kind of flushes over your body. I hate that feeling. Like, it's seriously, just the feeling makes me sick to my stomach. And I thought it was going to be like that. I thought the Spravato was going to be like that, but it wasn't. It was a very slow, well, I wouldn't say slow, because it came on pretty fast, but it was a gradual lift off, which I'm really happy about. But so I was just chilling, and I had my eye mask on, and then I started getting curious of like how high I was, I guess. I don't know. I remember like looking at my hands, and like, because I remember this one chick in a video, she was saying that her hands were distorted, and I was looking at my hands, and I remember like they were distorted, but like not anything that you would like see on TV if somebody was like tripping on mushrooms. I've never taken mushrooms before, but I have rolled on ecstasy before in my late teen years, and it was kind of like that. It felt like a cross between rolling on ecstasy and being almost too drunk and smoking a blunt. That's kind of where it was. Or what it was like for me anyways. So I remember like looking at my hands, and I had found this video the night before, and it was like, I'm gonna try to edit this video and put the video like somewhere here so you can see what I've seen. But if you've ever seen those like color runs, where they like throw like colored smoke or powder or whatever. It was kind of like that. And the video was just like all these colored smoke kind of going into one another, and it was really cool. And I had found that the night before. I thought that would be interesting to watch while I was, you know, doing the Spravato, and it really was. It was really, really, really cool. As I'm watching like the different color smoke like going, like overtaking each other and blending in and pushing colors out, I started having this thought that it was kind of like anxiety. Like, we'll just say orange and purple. So the orange representing the anxiety kind of started creeping up, and the purple started pushing the anxiety out. And the thought that I had in my head at the time was, that's how anxiety is like. Like, yeah, you can have anxiety, and you can acknowledge that you have anxiety, but if you ignore it, and you can defeat it. If you just acknowledge it, ignore it, and just keep doing what you're doing, you don't give it any power. And basically, like, the purple was like pushing it out, but some of the purple was just kind of floating the other direction. And for some reason, my brain just said, that's what anxiety is like. Don't give it power, and it won't affect your life. I'm not sure if I agree with that thought, because I don't know. I'm not sure if that's really the case. If you can just ignore anxiety. I've never been able to ignore my anxiety, but maybe that's just part of the process. I don't know. Maybe I'll get to that point eventually. But so anyways, so I'm watching this smoke for quite some time. I remember my eyes kept like rolling in the back of my head. Like, I felt, I don't know if I would say that I felt tired, but my body, like, I just kept like, I just remember my head was like swaying side to side. I got this lollipop like hanging out of my mouth. And the video that I was watching, I think, had music to it. I don't even know right now. And I watched that for a while, and then I found this other video, and it's called Kids Meditation. And basically there's like this cute unicorn, and it's got like this really cool like lullaby music. And I thought it was cool the night before when I was prepping for my treatment, but then when I put it on while I was on the Spravato, I'm like, this is like too like childish for me. Like, I can't deal with it. I feel like I'm in preschool. So I went back to the colored smoke, and then and time went really fast. So I got my first treatment at like 5 after 3, and I feel like I turned on my stuff, watched the smoke for a little bit, looked at the clock, and 40 minutes went by. And it definitely did not feel like 40 minutes had went by. And yeah, time was just non-existent, I guess, and it went really, really fast. But anyway, so I went back after the unicorn. I went back to the colored smoke, and then the video ended. And then, so my fiance, the night before, we were trying to find something to kind of watch while we were getting ready to go to sleep. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this cartoon. It's from the really early 90s. It's called Bebe's Kids. And when he turned it on the night before, I was like, this is like too loud. It's overstimulating. Like, I can't try to relax listening to this show and go to sleep. And I was kind of annoyed by it. Like, I was completely turned off to it. Like, I don't want anything to do with this. Like, you gotta find something else to watch. Well, that, it went from the smoke, the video ended with, like, I didn't even know it was coming up to the end. And it flipped to Bebe's kids. And I had a completely different reaction. So I live in Cleveland. I was raised in Cleveland. I was born in Texas, but my family moved me to Ohio, Cleveland, when I was like 2 years old. I lived on the west side of Cleveland until I think I was 13. I might have been 12 going on 13. But then we moved to Medina, and I stayed in Medina pretty much until about 4 years ago. And I never experienced trauma or anxiety or depression or anything until I moved to Medina. So when I think of Cleveland, it's like a really homey feeling. Like I feel comfortable, I feel safe, I feel like I can breathe. And when I was watching Bebe's kids, it like almost like transported me back to the 90s, when life was just good. And listening to the cartoon, it wasn't overstimulating, it wasn't too loud, it wasn't annoying, it wasn't disruptive. It was just people being people. And like, I don't know how to explain it. Like the culture of Cleveland, which you would not understand what that is unless you're from Cleveland or you were raised in Cleveland or spent a lot of time in Cleveland. The culture of Cleveland is pretty much my safe space, I guess you would say. That's where I feel the most comfortable. And when I was watching Bebe's kids, I was just like transported back to the 90s, and it was just my neighborhood in Cleveland. I grew up on 44th and Clark on the west side, and it was just nice. It was quiet. All the neighbors got along. Everybody would sit on their porches and people would just come by. It was before the internet. It was just a really, really good time in my life, before the trauma, before the anxiety, before the depression. And like it was, when I was watching this, it was like a sense of relief. Like I remembered what it was like to just be normal and to be around people and just be normal and not have anxiety or be hyper vigilant or hyper aware or scared or whatever the case is that I feel normally these days. And I don't know, it was just transformative. Like it's like I remember what it's like to, I remembered what it was like to not have anxiety and not have depression. And like, wow. That's all I have to say about that. Like, I know it seems silly that I was watching some cartoon of Bebe's kids and felt better, but it transported me to a better time in my life, a way better time in my life. So anyways, so I watched that forever and ever and ever. It felt like, but like I said, the time went quick. And then I started coming out of it probably about, so I was there from 3 to 5. So about 4:45, I started feeling like I was a lot more coherent. Can't say that word for some reason. And so I started, like, they came in, they wanted to do my blood pressure again. They did my blood pressure a total of 3 times. The first time it was normal. The second time my blood pressure shot up to 150/100. So that was kind of nerve-wracking. And I remember getting on my phone and actually Googling if 150 over 100 was bad, because the nurses didn't seem like bothered by it at all. And my blood pressure had never been that high before, and I know blood pressure that high is not good for you. But I guess it's only considered moderately high. It's not like a emergency or anything like that. So as soon as I read that, I was okay. But so yeah, my blood pressure did shoot up, and they said it was normal with Spravato. They did take my blood pressure again at like 445, and it went back to normal. So anyways, you do have to have someone come get you. You can't just leave on your own, and because you're pretty much still drunk when you leave. You're not like blasted off to another planet, but at that point, but you're still feeling it. So my fiance Chris came and got me, and it was cute because he brought my little chihuahua with him in the waiting room. So when I walked out, I was really super excited to see her. Oh, and at one point, I remember 2 of the aides came in, and one was the nurse or whatever she is, whatever her title is, and she has someone that she was training. And I remember at one point she came in, and I was saying what she was supposed to say. Like, I was like, oh, I'm just coming in to check on you. As she walked through the door, I started saying that, and I started laughing, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, have you ever like been really drunk and tried to talk? And the lady goes, yeah. I was like, that's my struggle right now. What I meant to say is I was just about to come out there and ask you if I can use the bathroom. And she was like, yeah, let me check your blood pressure real quick. So we did that, and I was thinking that I was just going to get up, go across the hall in the office, and use the bathroom. Well, that wasn't the case. I actually had to walk through the office, walk through the waiting room where there was patients sitting. All the while, I'm holding on to the nurse's arm because I can't walk straight. And I have no idea where the bathroom is. And so she walks me out of my private little room, and then she walks me through the office, walks me through the waiting room, and then down the hall, around the corner, and then into the bathroom. And I stumble into the bathroom, the stall, I use the bathroom, and the nurse was waiting in the bathroom for me. And then it hit me. I'm like, and I tell the nurse, I'm like, I just realized that I just used a public bathroom, and I have no shoes on. And I'm like, oh my God. And she was like, oh, it's okay. They clean these bathrooms pretty well. And I was like, wow, the things you do when you're drunk. So yeah, that was the thing. So anyways, I went back. But anyways, I just want to include that because I thought it was funny. So I'm released to my fiance, and we are leaving. You have to go down the hall, get on an elevator, go down. We're on the 4th floor, and we have to go down to the 1st floor. And I don't know what happened, but somehow instead of going down, we went up. So we went up to the 7th floor, and then we came back to the 4th floor. Oh, no, we went down first. We went down to the basement. We were supposed to get off on the 1st floor. Somehow we ended up in the basement. And then we put 1st floor, but somehow it made us go all the way up to 7th floor. And then we came back down to the 1st floor. And usually that probably would have gave me a lot of anxiety because I hate elevators. They just freak me out. Probably watched too much TV about failing elevators at some point. But as far as I can remember, it really didn't bother me that much. And then we get out the elevator, and I just remember I was like, whoa. So on the ceiling on the 1st floor, there's these lights on the ceiling, and they're like zigzagged. They're not like regular lights. They're in like a zigzag pattern, like little like thin lights, kind of like the LED strips lights that you can like change the colors or whatever. That was kind of like what it was, but it was actually like installed into the ceiling. But I just remember like looking at these lights, and they were so bright, and like every time I blinked there was kind of like a almost like a trail to them. And I was just so fascinated by these lights, and I'm just staring up at the ceiling. And I remember realizing that Chris had kept walking, my fiance, and he had kept walking because he didn't realize that I stopped. And I was just like looking at the ceiling, and normally I wouldn't do anything like that. I would have too much anxiety. I would be worried if Chris is gonna be annoyed that I'm waiting, or that he has to wait for me while I'm doing whatever, or if people are looking at me like I'm weird, or I would just be hyper vigilant, because with my anxiety, I'm a people pleaser. So I'm constantly like, I don't even know the word, hyper vigilant, anticipating people's needs, just making sure that everything is smooth, I guess, and I can't help it. But I didn't care. Like, I was just like, I remember looking, and I remember seeing Chris ahead of me, like maybe 50 feet ahead of me, but I didn't care. I didn't like actively not care, like, oh, Chris, fuck him. I was just like doing my own thing. And I remember looking at these lights, and I remember Chris said something to me like, hey, come on. And I just looked back up. And I'm like, these lights, they're so pretty. And like, I still didn't feel any of the pressure to stop what I was doing just to make sure that Chris was pleased or not annoyed, or, you know, whatever the case was. Like, he wasn't waiting on me. Like, and I feel like that with almost everyone around me. Like, I'm super hyper vigilant, and it's ruining my life. But anyways, so I remember I got in the car, and driving, I've never been able to be a good passenger in a car. My anxiety just will not let me, and that didn't change at all. We had some snow last night, and Chris gets anxiety when he drives. He gets really anxious if someone is behind him, really close to him, and he feels like he has to drive faster. And he just gets really nervous. And I could tell that he was nervous last night, so I was nervous. And I was like kind of getting like annoyed that he wouldn't slow down. I just like wanted to just be, and his anxiety just wouldn't let him be like that. So anyways, we made it home, and I remember Chris turned on the TV, and I just wanted to like lay back down. And I remember he's on this like watching old Jerry Springer clips lately. I don't know why. I mean, I guess it's kind of interesting or funny or whatever at times, but entertaining is the word. But so he turned that on, and usually I would watch it with him. But last night it was like too much. People fighting and screaming, and like I was like, whoa. So I remember he walked out of the room, and I grabbed the remote, and I turned on a movie. And I turned out the lights, I grabbed my fuzzy blanket, I grabbed my bird. I have a Jende Connor, and she's like my little cuddle buddy. Cuddle buddy. So I just grabbed my bird, grabbed my fuzzy blanket, and started watching this movie. It was called Love and Monsters, I think, and it's a really cool movie. And usually, like, I can't watch movies without the subtitles on. I can't watch TV, period, without subtitles on, because I get so distracted by the things that are around me that I won't be able, I literally can't hear the TV because I'm so distracted by the things around me. So, like, the volume could be loud as fuck and I still can't understand what people are saying because I'm too distracted by the things that are around me. So I have to put the subtitles on so I can read it. And I'm a speed reader, so it works really well for me. Well, last night when I turned this movie on, I was just chill. Like, I wasn't worried about anything around me. I wasn't worried about what Chris was doing. I wasn't worried if he's gonna watch this movie with me, or if he's gonna be annoyed or upset or feeling a certain kind of way because I didn't invite him into the room to watch this movie with him, or ask him what kind of movie he wants to watch, which, like I said, that's what my anxiety does. Hyper vigilant, always trying to people please. And I didn't feel like that last night. And I wasn't distracted with thoughts. I was just genuinely enjoying this movie and could focus on this movie so much that the subtitles were annoying me because it was distracting me. So eventually, pretty quickly, I turned the subtitles off, and it was nice. It was so nice to actually genuinely enjoy a movie. And I know that sounds crazy, but it was just a different experience for me. And I just didn't have a care in the world. I wasn't actively not giving a shit or anything like that. Like, oh, fuck him, fuck this. Like, I didn't think anything like that. It was just, I genuinely wanted to watch a movie, and I turned on a cool movie and I watched a cool movie. And I don't know, it was almost like I had this thought, like, this is what it feels like to be normal. And so I was kind of talking to the other nurse, Scott, about how I was feeling, and about what I just said, because I felt that, watching Bebe's kids. And I told him about it, and he was like, well, that feeling of, like, relief over time, as you progress with the treatments, it's gonna start sticking around longer, and eventually that's just how you're gonna feel. Well, that's the goal, that you're just gonna eventually start to feel more and more normal. So I watched a movie. I slept pretty good last night, which I haven't been sleeping well for quite some time now, probably like 2 weeks. I don't know why. I have a hard time falling asleep, and then I wake up a couple times in the night, and then I'm up for like an hour or two, and then I fall asleep, and before I know it, I have to wake up and go to work. And I'm extremely exhausted. So anyways, I slept really good last night, and then I woke up at 5:30 or something like that, and I fell asleep last night at like 6:30 at night. Like, I got home at 5:30, and by 6:30 I was sleeping, and I slept till I think like 10 or something like that, and then I was up until 1ish, I think, and then I fell back asleep, and I woke up at 5:30. But I woke up feeling good. I felt rested. And it snowed pretty bad out here last night, and I was not looking forward to going out in the cold or cleaning off my car or anything like that. I didn't have a lot of dread of going to work like I normally do, but I was dreading going out in the cold. I'm not a cold type of person. But I got up and got ready, packed my lunch, got dressed, and went outside and cleaned my car off. And I hate driving in the snow. I will literally get sick. My anxiety is so bad driving in the snow. Even if the roads don't look bad at all, I still have like these intense fears of like black ice, because I've actually been in a car accident. Well, I wouldn't say car accident, but I remember driving down the highway. My mom was driving and I was in the passenger seat, and my mom hit black ice, and we actually went off the highway, and then like went up this like ravine or whatever. And so yeah, I'm terrified of black ice. So I got on the highway, which I have decided that I'm not doing the highways anymore to or from work, because people drive like asshats out here during rush hour. Like, I feel like they're willing to risk their lives to get home 30 seconds earlier. So I found a pretty nice, relaxing way to go to work and go home. But I decided to I was afraid the side streets were going to be worse because my street was pretty bad, because it's a side street. So I decided to take like 2 exits of the way on the highway because I figured it would be clearer, and then get off and then take my normal route. And usually I wouldn't do that, but I was like starting to get anxiety about driving. And then I get off the highway and the roads are kind of getting worse. And I just remember my anxiety coming on. Like, I started like kind of feeling it in my chest, and then all of a sudden like this voice in my head was like, it's okay, like you got this. Like, just you have a good car. Drive as fast as you think you'll be safe, and you got this. Like, everything's gonna be fine. Just take your time. You're gonna be fine, and you're gonna make it to work. And then my anxiety was just like, okay. And that's exactly what I did. And I drove like 20 miles under the speed limit. I drove like a grandma, and I didn't feel anxiety from the people behind me being pissed off because I was going so slow. I just drove to work slowly and safely, and I'm at work right now. So I was like, wow, if this could like continue, that would be great. So yeah, 38 minutes. I hope that wasn't too much of a video for you, but I wanted to give you like exactly what I felt. So, oh, and at one point, while I was in the middle of treatment, I did start to get anxiety, but it wasn't like a normal anxiety. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, my chest started just like getting heavy, and I felt like I really couldn't breathe. And like, but I wasn't, it was like I was having anxiety, but I wasn't panicking. And I felt like I could control it by using just like the techniques that I've been taught by like my therapist and stuff like that, like breathing and, you know, talking yourself down. And normally if I started like feeling like I couldn't breathe and stuff like that, like I would have just straight up had a panic attack, not being able to breathe, maybe crying, maybe thinking I'm gonna die. more than likely feeling like I'm gonna die, thinking I'm gonna die, which exuberates the panic. And that wasn't the case. Like, I felt the anxiety coming on. I felt like the pressure in my chest, feeling like I couldn't breathe, but I didn't panic. I'm just like, all right, let's start breathing. You're fine. Everything is cool. You're around doctors. I was able to like talk myself down, and that was definitely different than what I felt like in a very long time. But anyways, I think that's all I have for you. I have treatment again tomorrow. So if you want to see that update, I will post it. I didn't get any video of me actually in treatment, but I'm going to try to take some pictures and maybe try to edit into the videos just so you can see what I see during the treatment. Maybe some video while I'm doing the treatment, but it's almost kind of impossible, and I don't know. Maybe I'll try. I'll try my best. But yeah, if you want to see my next video on my Spravato treatment, so my next video is going to be treatment 2 of Spravato nasal spray treatment for drug-resistant depression and anxiety. And if you want to see that, you know what to do. Other than that, have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon.